Dr. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay. Dan kedua, kita ada Associate Professor of Biochemistry, University of Patras, Greece, Associate Professor Dr. Konstantinos Poulas. Welcome to Summit 2 and welcome to Malaysia, Doctor. Dan akhir sekali, Physician Emmanuel Hospital Bandung, Indonesia, Dr. Arifandi Sanjaya. Selamat sore, Dr. Arifandi. Terima kasih bersama kami. Ya, langsung silakan. Okay, I'm going to take my seat now. First of all, thank you so much for joining us today, distinguished panelists. Sekali lagi saya remind all of you of their names. We have Dr. Arifandi from Indonesia, Dr. Sharifah from Malaysia, and Dr. Poulas from Greece. And we are here to talk about vaping from a global perspective, alright? So, we are here to talk about vaping. We are here to talk about an alternative to cigarettes, but not only an alternative to cigarettes, but also possibly a means to an end. Because everybody in this room here today is here for one reason and one reason only. They are interested in finding a solution to a problem which is probably individual and singular in nature, but in actual fact is a global problem because smoking, #smoking kills. You know, that is what we all know. So we are here to discuss how to eradicate the world of this problem. So there is growing evidence of vaping's benefit to public health when compared to smoking cigarettes, and it is undeniable that more research needs to be done to paint a more conclusive picture. We need to do a lot more research before we can underscore the final note. Now, as researchers work on building up evidence on the effectiveness and safety of vaping as a device to help smokers quit their addiction to cigarettes, many government and health agencies have decided to ban vaping altogether or adopt a wait-and-see stance, which could quite possibly be a problem because whilst they do that, people are left in the dark. So smokers are left to decide for themselves whether they should try vaping or kick the habit, and in the meantime, they continue to smoke cigarettes very much at their own peril. Yeah. So that is the underlying problem that we are here to discuss today. So the topic that we have here is vaping from a global perspective. So let me begin with Dr. Poulas. You know, perhaps we would like to hear from you first a little bit about where you stand, where you come from, and how you bring your expertise to this table. We will go perhaps 30 seconds each to Dr. Poulas and Dr. Sharifah and Dr. Arifandi. Dr. Poulas, over to you.
So good afternoon. I'm coming from Greece. I am an associate professor of University of Patras. Patras is a city close to Athens, which is the capital of Greece. Greece is a member of the European Union. We are working in our lab for 25 years now with nicotinic acetylcholine receptor, which is the molecule that nicotine is bound when we smoke. So for the last 6 years, we are also working in researching about the vaping product. So we are doing research about e-cigarettes and recently about HLB product, heat-not-burn product. And we are working either to identify the toxicology effects of these products at molecular, cellular and animal level. But we also conduct some research about the prevalence of e-cigarette smoking, vaping in the Greek population. So more or less, I am covering about 20 publications in peer-reviewed journals in the area of vaping in comparison to smoking.
Thank you, Dr. Dr. Sharifah.
Yeah. Assalamualaikum dan selamat petang. Very good afternoon. Thank you for the invite. Saya daripada UKM. I'm from UKM, which is a public university. It's just about maybe 35 kilometers from here. My work is from the Faculty of Medicine, so we are in the community medicine area. Of course, we do a lot of research on smoking and also the current trend, which is vaping or e-cigarettes. And we look, of course, at factors, but we also highlight points which is actually pertinent to the public in the relations of the dangerous effect of either things or the benefit of cigarettes and so on, and e-cigarettes, of course. And we look at areas where we can actually look at factors, how they actually adopt this habit, especially for the youngsters and also adolescents. Most of the studies that we look at, not only at the relations of cost, but also the effect when they have both using both smoking plus, but also using vape as well at the same time. So this is a concurrent use of what we call as dual users. So I think this area is very new. There's a lot of things that we don't know yet, and there's a lot of potential as well. So I think this is one of the areas that in the forum that we can discuss and elaborate. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. We look forward to hearing more about that. Dr. Devani, over to you.
Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Arifandi. I come from Indonesia, and I'm a vapor student, a cigarette user, and I often solving the problem from user of e-cigarette. There is hard to quit smoking and have tried e-cigarette, but haven't get a solution from me. That is my some of work in Indonesia. I give educational about e-cigarettes from video in social media too.
Thanks. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Doctor. So let's start our panel today with a very obvious and very relevant point for us to discuss over here. So everybody here, or rather almost everybody here, are smokers who are looking to quit their addiction to cigarettes, right? So that's what we're trying to do. But there have been many concerns, especially in light of recent media reports which have linked vaping with illnesses, deaths, and these reports seem to be coming quite often, and it's not few and far in between. It's actually a lot and very close in between, as recent as yesterday. So these cases have been confirmed to be linked with THC-based e-liquids. But that's the problem, there's a lot of uncertainty about this. Is the problem with vaping, or is the problem with, uncontrolled manufacturing of vaping liquids? What is, the underlying problem of it all? So, Dr. Pulas, in your expert opinion, should smokers look at e-cigarettes as a viable method for smoking cessation? Is e-cigarettes the way for you to quit smoking?
First, I would like to clarify that, as you said before, during the last 3 months we had some deaths in US, only in US, about 35, and many other cases of lung injuries. And yesterday the CDC from United States announced that all these cases were caused by vaping THC containing liquids, which were not bought from official stores, but were made, let's say, homemade, or from illegal points of sale. In the States, THC and CBD are products that are sold legally in the market, and vaping is one of the methods to receive these compounds. So if we return to the e-cigarettes, the nicotine-containing e-cigarettes, we have seen in our studies that at least in many countries, and in Greece also, we have a large number of vapers, and as the number of the vapers is increased, the number of smokers is decreased. In Greece, we used to have 32 to 35% of the population smokers, and this year we have something like 27 to 28. In the same time, we are also having 5% and even more of the population who are vaping. So it is proved in many countries that vaping is a safe solution in order to decline smoking. We should also think that everybody should use this method only to stop or to quit smoking. We never suggest to somebody who is not smoking to start vaping. So any comparison should be made between smoking and vaping. So I think that apart from the other conventional methods, when these methods are not able to help people to stop smoking, the smokers should think using vape.
So in other words, you're saying that there is a direct correlation between the reduction of number of smokers and the increasing number of vapers that you can see increase.
Yes.
Dr. Sharifah, what's the scenario like here in Malaysia?
Thank you. Can I use a bit of Malay as well?
Yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
For me personally, coming from Malaysia, Malaysian scenario, we know that the number of male smokers is more than 15 years old, is about 50% of
50%?
that was a few years back.
Okay.
Was smokers, and about 5% of the female were smokers. And of course, this is an alarming figure. But we also see the trend, which is decreasing in these past few years. Now, there's two parts in that. Whether the actually decrease is because that people have switched to vaping, or because the strategies of anti-smoking, the M-Quit clinic, the clinic berhenti merokok and things like that, which is relevant in Malaysia, is doing their job. We're not sure which is which. The problem in Malaysia is because at the moment there is no strong regulation. Of course, there's regulation, but in the sense of e-vape, because this is something which is relatively new, e-cigarettes and vaping, regulation is not very strong yet in that sense. So we, of course, in the health sector, we are very worried people who actually start to vape when they are not even smokers. And there has been a lot of studies showing that especially the children and adolescents, they start to vape even though they are non-smokers, they want to try. And this is what we are worried, because some of the juice or e-juice or the content of vaping, they contain nicotine. And children are exposed to this. Of course, we don't sell it purposely. They obtain it through either illegal markets, they get it from parents, approval or not approval. But some of these liquids do contain nicotine. So we don't want people who don't smoke actually start vaping. Now, the content of vape, in general, it contains nicotine. There might be other things which is already mixed inside, things like PG, distill, which in reality, some of these contents may be actually quite harmful to the public. Now, especially example, like if I am an asthmatic, I'm a young adolescent and I'm asthmatic, and I start to vape, this can actually cause more problems to my lungs, even though this may not cause something to other people as well. So the contents of the e-juice, which is relatively new, there's still things which we are not very clear yet. Now, the lung injuries that has happened with what is rightly commented by Dr. Polas, the CDC report by in US. Now they are very worried. The Trump administration has now included that all the vaping must be controlled, they must have FDA, so there's tighter regulations because of the tainting with THC or vitamin E acetate. They're not very sure which is which. There's a few reports on the bronchial lavage, that means they took samples from the lungs and they look at the lungs injuries that has happened. So they're still worried, and they are still not sure actually what caused the lung injury. So it hasn't happened to Malaysia yet, and we don't know whether this has not happened or this has not surfaced. There was just recently, I think yesterday, one case in Labuan. There was a young chap, but of course, it seems that he had lung injury, acute lung injury, admitted to ICU, and they say that this is associated with vaping. And the person may have some other autoimmune disease as well. So there could be some predisposing risk factors that cause the person to be more susceptible to vape, causing lung injury. So this is the scenario in Malaysia. We don't want people who actually do not smoke, but then they start to go into vaping and things like that. And we don't know what is inside the e-juices. Now, the other extreme would be the one who are already smokers. Things like, some of our customers or our population are smokers. Now, what happened is that they can go also two ways. One of them is that they also use cigarette or traditional cigarette, but they also vape. Now, what happens is that they don't use vape to actually contain the smoking. They use vape and they also purchase high nicotine concentration in the vape itself, and this is more difficult to control. So in the end, you have double exposure from your cigarette and also your vape. The e-juice contains nicotine. Now, can you imagine how much addicted that you will be once you have exposure to both nicotine from your traditional cigarette and also nicotine from your e-juice? So the other extreme would be the one who actually smoke and they actually taper their smoking and they switch to e-juice or vaping, which has reduced concentration. Now, this is what we want. So in a way, whether vape can be seen as an alternative method, there has been some studies to say there can be a potential. That means there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You can still use that, but it has to be properly controlled so that people who do not smoke at all do not start on vape. It must be child-proof. That means you cannot sell for people less than 18, because in some countries they even put up the legal entry of people to start vaping as 20 years old. So you can be like 20 years old, only then you can start to purchase a vape. In our country, of course, there is that law, but it's not that strong yet. So we want the regulation to be stronger so that people who actually know the risk and people who are actually smokers and want to quit are using this properly. So this is what they proposed, the Tobacco Act, which is supposedly coming at the end of the year. I'm not sure when it's going to come because it's under the purview of Ministry of Health. And there's a lot of purview of other ministries as well, immigration, trying to curtail illegal, e-juice that might be tainted with drugs and things like that. So there's a lot of aspects that they have to cover. So with the coming of this act and the selling of dangerous, once you have nicotine, it goes into it's considered as a poison, so it goes into Akta Beracun 1952 and selling of the drugs 1956. So bila you pakai Akta ni dengan betul, once you use this act properly, and it is of course regulated by health personnel or medical personnel or health personnel, responsible people, this, for me, yes, I do agree that this can be used as a way to reduce your smoking habit.
Okay, so I'm going to come back to you later. I'm going to talk about the fact that you've interestingly mentioned Akta Beracun 1952. Isn't it amazing that we are in 2019 and that Akta is still from 1952?
Yeah.
Why is that the case? So I will come back to you on that, but first let's go to Dr. Arifandi and look at things from his perspective.
Okay. I really believe that ENDS or electric nicotine delivery system, but some people known as e-cigarette or vape, is a viable method to let you quit smoking. Why? Because it has some oral sensation, the sensation you feel in your mouth like smoking. The question is, a long time ago until now, there is some tools like NRT, nicotine replacement therapy, that have been used to let people quit smoking but do not get a higher result. Why? Because it doesn't give any oral sensation like smoking does. The nicotine addictive is mild actually, but the mindset and the habit is the hardest thing to quit. So that's why, when the nicotine is mild addictive, but you need to get your cigarette and do smoking because it's a habit. You do smoking while you doesn't have anything to do, you feel bored, you feel depressed, the habit you make is always in you. That's why nicotine replacement therapy like nicotine pads and nicotine gum giving a lower result in quit smoking. But some people in Indonesia doesn't have a great time to do vaping and still do smoking. Why? Because there is no education, there is no guidance to giving them how many number or amount of nicotine they need to take every day to quit smoking. Maybe I am a light smoker, or maybe ladies and gentlemen here is a heavy smoker. I can give the same amount of nicotine between me and her or his, the same amount. It's impossible because the number of cigarettes I do smoking every day is a different number with them.
So in other words, what you're saying is there isn't a plan. There
Yes.
isn't a plan that will be tailored to you and your specific needs of nicotine.
Yes.
So that is an essential problem. But another thing I want to touch on is on the fact that, so we're discussing e-cigarettes here and how e-cigarettes is a viable solution to smoking cessation. But correct me if I'm wrong, smoking cigarettes, the thing that actually kills you and is more harmful to you rather than nicotine is the fact that cigarettes contain tar.
Yes.
So it is the eradication of tar that we are trying to deal with by introducing e-cigarettes with or without nicotine in their package. Am I right? Okay. So who'd like to take this on? Go on, Dr.
I think that it is important for the audience to understand that someone who is smoking is a sick person. The problem for this sick person is the need for receiving nicotine continuously. So as everybody is saying, people are smoking, these sick people are smoking in order to receive nicotine, but are dying due to the other compounds, which is what you describe as tar. When the sick people are smoking, the temperature in the cigarette is more than 800 degrees. So in front of the cigarette, the lighting part of the cigarette is having a temperature of 800. And in this temperature, a huge number of compounds which are toxic and carcinogenic are produced. So when somebody is vaping or is using alternative nicotine receiving methods, he is receiving the important for his sickness, which is the nicotine, but he receives this compound in very lower temperature, which is about 250 to 300 degrees. As a result, it is obvious and proved that the concentration of all these toxic compounds are tens and hundreds of times less than when smoking. And that is why Public Health England and other authorities are claiming and are explaining to these sick people that when somebody is vaping, it is the harm he is receiving, because vaping is not harmless. We cannot say to somebody, start vaping because you are not having something else to do. So the harm he is receiving seems to be 20 times less than when you smoke. So this is the concept which is behind the tobacco harm reduction concept we are trying to develop. We are trying to persuade that when you are vaping, the harm you are receiving is much, much less than when you are smoking.
Right, so you're saying that it is the lesser of two evils.
Yes.
It is not entirely harmless, but when compared to not vaping or smoking at all, of course.
The first we have to say to somebody who is smoking, to this sick person, is stop smoking.
Correct.
But it is not so simple, because if we say it, the majority cannot follow. They
Probably
cannot.
also want to hurt you for telling them to stop smoking, because
So
it is difficult.
if they cannot stop smoking with all these methods or by themselves, it is better to turn to switch to a less harmful product, which is, for example, vaping.
Right. Okay, all right. So we are also here to talk about, whether we should regulate, whether we should ban e-cigarettes. Perhaps Dr. Arifani and Dr. Sharifah, you can share from your perspective. Where do you stand on this?
In many countries globally, there are a lot of countries, nearly 60 countries, that have different perspectives. And some of them regulate, some of them ban, some of them, policies on selling and things like that. Our neighbours in Singapore totally ban, langsung tak boleh masuk, tak boleh vape, tak boleh apa, semua kena tak tepi, tak boleh masuk. Thailand have different regulations, and different countries have different regulations. For me, I do agree that there are some studies that show vape is the lesser of two evils. There's no combustion, you don't have the tar. It's just the nicotine. Nicotine tu je yang merisaukan. So in a way, it is the lesser of two evils, yes. But how do you actually make sure that the lesser of these two evils is properly delivered to the community? So if you totally ban, in a way macam terus ban for everything, there are some effects of that. They switch to illegal market, which is also worrisome. Sebab once you have illegal market, they can taint you with high doses, they can lace your e-juice with something, and we cannot control because there's no control. Custom tak jaga, immigration tak sell because this is illegal market. So for me, there should be some grounds where you are able to use vape, especially for therapy, for nicotine, for replacement therapy, but at a controlled setting. That means there must be some regulation. Hanya orang-orang tertentu boleh keluarkan, boleh hilangkan, boleh guna. But the law must be foolproof so that children tak boleh pakai. Anak-anak kita jangan bagi. Orang yang tidak merokok, yang belum merokok, saudara mara kita, perempuan dan sebagainya, yang tidak merokok, pregnant dan sebagainya, jangan bagi vape kalau dia guna tu hanya untuk suka-suka. Because once they start vaping, they are addicted to the nicotine. Yeah? But for those that wants to stop, yang memang betul-betul niat jujur, memang nak berhenti dan sebagainya, dia risau kesihatan dia. For me, yes, I do personally, there are some ways that you can use this to a medicinal treatment. Something like we have with ketum now, the government is working with ganja. Bukan suruh tanam ganja, tapi we are going towards that. That means we are using this properly in some way as therapy. Because these are medicinal therapy, so they must be in controlled hands, there must be proper law. Kalau ada macam tu and that is already in place, there is already a pathway, a CPG that is agreed everybody, and how to monitor the vapers. Sebab at the moment we don't have a specific clinical practice guideline atau CPG of people who vape, and what happens kalau dia datang dengan macam ni, batuk, we call this as the non-infectious pulmonary disease. Dia bukan ada kuman, bukan virus, but they come with pulmonary injury, maknanya paru-paru dia rosak. And how come dia rosak kalau dia tak ada expose kepada kuman atau virus? So these are the non-infectious. So we are worried about that. At the moment there's no CPG on these things as well. So the government has a lot of work to do if we are going to collaborate with the vape as a therapy.
Okay, Dr. Irfani, with you.
Okay, in Indonesia, vape is legal by tax government. By tax government from 2018. But health government in Indonesia and FDA, Indonesia Food and Drug Administration, will never give us chance to have e-cigarette as a nicotine replacement therapy. Why? Because health government and Indonesia FDA looking from World Health Organization. That is a little different, maybe with some journal in UK. That is, I found it very good. I found it very great from research about vaping to give a better life for all these people who do using e-cigarettes. But we start to make it more regular. Why? I agree with Professor Sharifah. If we ban vaping, there is more illegal market and we can't control everything about it.
Yes.
there is will more people die if you can't control. But if you do regulate, you can know how much is vapors do, how vapors is good for you, what is the positive or negative effect from it. So you will have more step ahead to give a healthy country, a more quality of life from people on this country.
Right, I agree. So, let's now talk about our wish list, because at the end of the day, everybody here is interested in vaping, correct? Yes, and you want to vape in a healthy way, correct? So if everybody is here is interested in ensuring that the choices that they make is going to be healthy, not only for themselves, but more importantly for the family and the people around them, what is stopping us from coming up with the perfect regulation scenario? Why now we go full circle is, for example, our Akta Racun, our Toxics Act is still from 1952. What do we need to do today to ensure that the future of smoking cessation is going to be done effectively with vaping? We'll start with Professor Sharifah, and then I'm going to go to Dr. Pulas, and then you're going to give me, a European perspective, because as we understand it, whilst the US might still be here nor there, in the UK, for example, they've got a system down. They've got a system down where you can even find some hospitals selling vape as, a treatment procedure. And also I want to understand from Indonesia and also an ASEAN perspective. So, Prof, Malaysian government, this is what you need to do now. Over to you.
Just a comment, UK dia sell walaupun dia allow, tapi dia punya e-cigarette tu tidak atau e-juice tu tidak mengandungi daya setil,
Yes.
which is the thing that some of us are worried
But the
about.
difference is they have an understanding of the system.
Exactly. So when we say allow tu, dia ada some caveats juga as well. Daya setil yang kita takut, because some of the study shows that high exposure and very long exposure and things like that, you can get popcorn disease, bronchiolitis obliterans, which has not happened yet. There are other studies that show that in different scenarios, but not in diabetes yet. The exposure from traditional cigarettes is even higher. Now for the Akta tu, it takes a long time because it goes into the parliament, and there's a lot of scenarios, because one is Akta Racun, there are revisions to that, but also the selling point. Yang menjual, custom, immigration pun terlibat. The selling point, how you promote dalam botol e-cigarette atau vape tu macam mana. Jadi dia melibatkan a few ministries. So the 3 ministries that involved ada beberapa, termasuk KPDN, HEP, kita punya Ministry of Health dan juga multimedia. Jadi 3 ministry ni terpaksa berterlibat dalam Akta Tobacco ni, pasal dia akan melibatkan termasuk vape, shisha dan sebagainya. So that's why one of the reason I think the delay in the scenarios. But I think with a lot of pressures from not only peniaga but also from the consumers, I think it will be faster. And now they are doing a lot of moves towards that as well.
So there are many points to touch there. But which one should be, addressed first?
For me, it's the Akta Racun lah. Penjualan Akta Racun is because nicotine is considered Akta Racun lah.
Okay, help us understand what is taking. What is the hurdle here? I mean, come on guys, we're talking about, changing an Akta here. If from 1952 until 2019, the only other thing that has taken such a long time is the change of government.
I think they look at a few perspectives. There's a lot of discussion with stakeholders, including the businesses and things like that. There's a lot of perspective that they look into. Kalau dia ban, which is very simple, but then you get this feedback. So then they approach other people. Correct. So there's a lot of other people and stakeholders that they actually engage to have a very conclusive conclusion to the problem. So I think that's one of the reasons. And they say that it's going to be at the end of the year. We hope it's going to be at the end of the year.
Are enough efforts being put on ground to address this or not, from your perspective?
For me personally, I don't think it's enough. We were quite alarmed when we had a few deaths from CDC. From the CDC report tu ada kematian about 10, now it's going up like a few more, and with the THC and things like that. So I think that one put a lot of pressures on people to actually start writing, and this is happening at other countries. We should do something about this. We don't want our youth to die. So the one case that happened in Labuan is, we don't know whether that's a start, that it's an isolated event, that's an outlier, we don't know. It could be, there's going to be more people having tainted vape e-juice, we don't know. So I think with that, it put more pressure on the government.
Right.
So I think it's going to be very soon.
Okay, so Dr. Pulas, from your perspective, what is the right way of going about doing things?
I really do not know what is happening in Malaysia and why the law is not changing for so many years. I agree that it should change. I will try in a few minutes to explain to you what is happening in Europe. And in my opinion, in Europe we have developed the best system for the regulation of vaping products. In Europe and in Greece, we have vaping products since 2008. It is more than 10 years now, and the regulation system appeared 2.5 years ago. It is not so simple as you may imagine to change the law and adapt a regulatory system. So 2.5 years ago in Europe we developed what is called TPD. TPD is Tobacco Products Declaration Directive, which means that the European Union as a whole, as a government, decided that smoking, vaping and HNB products should be regulated again. And according to this directive, which was then adopted by all the European countries, 27 countries, we have specific regulations that we follow. The first and most important is that the smoking products, the cigarettes, are having labels which are declaring that smoking is killing. And probably you know that we have pictures with dead people, damaged lungs, etc. In the contrast, vaping products are not having the same labeling, but are having labels saying that these products are containing nicotine, which is something that can cause addiction. So the first important win from this point of view is that there is a difference between smoking products, cigarettes, and vaping products. And as for the vaping products, according to this directive, all the e-liquids and the devices are having to follow specific rules. For example, the vials of e-liquids should be the maximum of 10 ml. The concentration of nicotine in this e-liquid cannot be over 20 milligrams per ml. And there are specific rules for the use of these products from children. For example, it is forbidden to sell these products in everybody under 18 years old. And also it is forbidden specific additives like caffeine, like energy drinks to be included in these products. So we have a very stable system. All the products that are circulating in Europe are registered, are written in a specific database, and we know that this product, which is registered in this database, has been thoroughly tested and checked for the emissions, for the contents of this product. So we know that they have a minimum of safety for the user.
Right, okay. Dr. Devani, it seems to me, excuse me, it seems to me that the measures that Dr. Pulas has mentioned is very, you can adapt it very easily. Do you think it is applicable to our market?
Let me tell a story from Indonesia. So from Indonesia, regulation is now released by tax government, but there is some of government like health, like I said before, like health government or everyday government haven't do some regulation too. They want to do some regulation to vaping products, but they haven't.
that is our chance to try to giving testimonial, giving story about how good is vaping, how good is vaping have changed my life, and I actually want the college do some research too, so we will have scientific papers, like local scientific papers, we do by ourselves to proving that vaping is good. There is some statement that I really believe it will change the government's mind to regulate vaping more good.
So education is also part of the big picture here.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because industry without education is zero. How can you do vaping while you don't giving any education from it? And I really appreciate the educators of vaping. Maybe I come from Indonesia and there's a lot of educators too, and we always sharing about how great is vaping and how bad is vaping. We don't talk about just the good way, we talk in a negative way. How negative is vaping and how many you can take a day. If it excess, it will not good for your body. So education is the primary thing too that is essential.
Now, amongst the audience here, we also have influencers who, it is, the onus is in your hands, the influencers who are here to talk about vaping, here to write about vaping. Like what you said, it's not just about the positives, but also the negatives here. But, one of the key aspects is technology.
Okay.
So I'd like to throw the question to the panel here. What are your thoughts about where we are with technology's role in smoking cessation? Prof.
In Malaysia, our technology for smoking cessation is relatively the old school, which is the nicotine patch, the gum, things like that. Is it effective? There's a lot of studies in Malaysia showing that it is. There's a lot of studies that show it is, but we have not have a very countrywide, whether there is a relapse after that. We don't have the data. Right? We don't have the data. But it is considered as a valid and also treatment which is accepted worldwide. And vape, we know that they have come by leaps and bounds. And now you have the first generation, you have the second, now we have the fourth. And then we have even dry tobacco with the IQOS and things like that by Philip Morris. So there's a lot of technologies that vape has come up, which I think the health set has not been able to keep up. Yeah? So if we say technology-wise, whether this is the next thing, it could be, but we need more data. We cannot just say, we take from it. There must be trials, it must be very controlled, mesti ada sampel yang cukup, orang yang betul-betul mengukur and things like that. So I think the technology forward with vape, there's a lot of things coming up, but how to make sure that this is, the dose of nicotine inside there, again, it's back to regulation and enforcement in Malaysia. Of course, you mentioned correctly education to the public, especially young children, adolescents, and school-going children. They must not start. This is not actually the platform yang kita cakap, okay, silalah vape. No. This is actually a safe therapy for people who are actually smokers to stop, right? Not to initiate vaping. The others jangan initiate vaping.
Right. So, in other words, if you are not smoking, don't even vape.
You don't, because you're exposing yourself to nicotine unduly, and also kalau you kata, okay, saya tak pakai, saya ambil yang zero, because kononnya ada yang juice yang tak ada nikotin, without nicotine. But then there's other chemicals inside the e-juice too, which I mentioned just now, the diacetyl, other things that you inhale inside your lungs, which can cause injury. Because these are the things yang orang letak dalam makanan untuk bagi dia bau sedap dan sebagainya, popcorn, orang makan, and then kita masukkan dalam paru-paru kita, and it could be tainted, with fungus and things like that. So kita masuk dalam paru-paru kita, jadi buat apa you nak risiko tu? You should go for people who are actually smokers, who want to stop. Then these are the areas that kita dah lah. Sebab kita nak bantu orang yang merokok daripada combustible tobacco yang bahaya tu, yang tar tu, kepada mereka yang tidak menggunakan tar tu, which is so-called the e-cigarette. Tapi itulah, the best method must be there. Where we can actually safely consume so-called used vape, and they are able to transition from users to non-users. Jangan dia jadi mula-mula dia ambil tobacco, lepas tu dia ambil vape, lepas tu dia rasa dua-dua nikotin, wah sedap, kick apa semua, dia jadi dua users. So then you have double exposure. So and you continue without supervision. This is very dangerous. So you can get the usual stuff lah, cancer lah, sakit jantung, etc. So it has to be very controlled. And the way forward again for me is the enforcement. Education, enforcement is very important, but enforcement is not only for the companies, custom, immigration, a lot of other areas, promotion, labeling and things like that. So it must be a holistic 360 degrees.
Enforcement. Dr. Irfani and Dr. Plus, what's enforcement like both in Indonesia and in Greece? Perhaps we'll start with you.
I will start the reply by giving an explanation why technology is important, can help for this.
Sure.
I remember 25 years ago, many of you were not born. I was in a journey somewhere in Europe, and I saw somebody in the experiment I was performing walking with something like that in his ear. And I said, what crazy thing is this? And they replied, it is a mobile phone. So when I returned back home, I said, I have to obtain such a phone. Some days later, in the news, there was a very noise about an accident in a gas station. A mobile phone was exploded in the gas station, and the user of the mobile was killed. But imagine if, according to that noise, the government had decided to stop the circulation of the mobile phones. The same is more or less happening with the vaping devices, e-cigarettes. We have many rumors that the e-cigarette was exploded and somebody was injured, and that's why we should ban the use of e-cigarettes. But I believe that this is not the case. We should try to develop technologically better and better devices in order to stop having such small few cases of injury. Now, from the other side, we have to agree that if we would like to stop smoking, we have to follow three pathways. It is education, as we said, it is research, and it is innovation. For example, in Greece, we are performing every year a conference which is called Tobacco Harm Reduction, a summit for tobacco harm reduction. I suggest that even in your country, you should try and develop such events in order to develop the confidence for all the people that harm reduction is a must. And also, the second is that we have to continue with innovation. We have to help startups to make new technologies for cessation of smoking in order to have better results in the future.
If you're talking about innovation and research, that's what we are here for, right? And SIG 2 comes with innovation and research.
Okay.
So that's what we are. So right now, the only thing missing from that equation is the education, which is, it's totally up to you guys, because you guys have to, come up with the right information and the right messages out there. But out there in front of you.
Okay. Maybe a lot of things have been said by Dr. Plus and Professor Sharifah. I just want to add some little things. In Indonesia, technology is always developing. Developed to be a better device, to be a better liquid. We search and we read about scientific paper from outside country like UK and USA, and we try to analyze what is bad from vaping. So we eliminated like diacetyl, like Professor Sharifah said. Diacetyl is known as substances that related to burn Eulytis obliterans, or maybe someone or some people in this room know as popcorn lung. But not every person that take diacetyl in popcorn factory have a popcorn lung. So it's just a related, but we need to eliminate to decrease the chance about vaping get a bad health condition to vapers. And I want to propose any influencer here to do some educational video too, and take it on your Instagram, check it about how positive is vaping, how negative is vaping, so people can know and can experience more about what is vaping and have an open-minded to welcome or to accept what vaping is.
Last question on this. Do you think we, as community, as a society, is on the right path to smoking cessation, bearing in mind that everybody is here as vapers? Do you think we are in the right trajectory?
Are we speaking about Malaysia or the world?
The vaping community.
I think that we are in the correct way. I think that by mid-20s, 2025, the number of smokers will be equal to the number of vapers. Vapers, I mean both e-cigarette, both H and Bs. And in many countries, the number of smokers will decline even more. And it is not far the time that we will have smoke-free communities.
Right, thank you. Thank you. Dr. Irfandi,
I think we just have a right path to have a tobacco harm reduction, but we just in halfway into it.
right.
What we gonna do is supporting community, give education to vaping community, give some good vibes, and always read about the news, read about scientific paper, and share it to your friends and your community.
Right, so your mantra is education is the way. But we're on the right way. Dr. Sharifah.
At the moment, it is not a foolproof idea yet. There's a lot of cases. 2014, 2016, some of the literature shows that our police in PDRM have confiscated illegal vape and e-juice, and some of these are tainted with drugs. So these are not the things that we want our population to be exposed to. But if we
This is what happens when you don't regulate.
Yes, this is what happens. So if you go for regulation, enforcement, memang ada guideline yang betul, siapa yang boleh vape, tak boleh vape, umur yang sesuai dan sebagainya, I think, yeah, we could try this. You know, this is something which is possible.
I guess on that note, it's healthy for us to terminate this discussion here. Once again, thank you very much to the panelists for sharing with us your points of views. A round of applause for both for all three of our panelists, for Dr. Irfandi and also Dr. Bulan. Thank you very much to them. I'd like to invite you to please exit the stage right now. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so there you have it. Itu dia sedikit sebanyak tentang vaping. Di manakah kita sekarang, apakah yang perlu dilakukan, apakah regulation yang diperlukan. Tapi apa yang saya rasa menarik tadi ialah dua perkara. Satu, memanglah kita perlu regulation yang belum sampai lagi sampai sekarang ni. Jadi apa yang lambat sangat saya pun tak faham. Jadi insyaAllah with the right kind of noise, with the right kind of pressures, regulation will come and you will find a scenario di mana vaping is going to be safer because it is regulated. But secondly, apa yang dikatakan oleh Dr. Arifandi tadi, iaitu education. You need to carry the word out with you. Talk about the fact that vaping is not just all the positive sides, but also the negative sides, supaya siapa yang memang perokok sekarang ini boleh bergerak ke arah vaping, dan siapa yang tidak merokok will just stay out of it. Okay, so the onus is on you, on users, on influencers. So it is totally up to you to make sure that the right kind of future is crafted with the right kind of knowledge and the right kind of education. Okay, sekali lagi tepukan untuk panelis kita pada hari ini. Okey, acara kita akan berlangsung acara kita akan diteruskan lagi dalam masa beberapa minit lagi. Sekali lagi saya ingin menjemput, kalau anda di belakang sana, please move forward so that you fill up the spaces di hadapan. Dan jika anda ada mengambil gambar, tak kira lah di dalam ini ataupun di luar sana, ada banyak lagi benda yang anda akan lihat. Sebentar lagi bila anda di-invite untuk masuk ke dalam show area, memang saya sendiri gempak lah, saya tak sangka vaping punya event punya showcase begitu gempak sekali. Serius saya cakap. Saya rasa macam saya pergi tengok KL Auto Show, macam show kereta, tapi padahal dia memang hebat. Jadi please take as many pictures as possible, ambil gambar, dan jangan lupa untuk hashtag, dua hashtag ya, satu NSummit2 dan nombor 2 ialah NSync2. So kedua-dua hashtag ni please populate our social media, make it trending what you are here today. Alright, so we'll be back in a few more minutes. Terima kasih, dan jangan ke mana-mana, sebentar lagi ada benda-benda yang menarik lagi yang menanti anda di pentas ini. Terima kasih.